Indianapolis Colts quarterback Daniel Jones is officially out for the season with a torn Achilles. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Colts, your daily Indianapolis Colts podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zach Hicks, your resident film nerd of horseshoehuddle.com. Welcome to Locked On Colts, your one-stop shop for Colts commiseration the rest of the year. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. We have an action-packed show for you guys today, and by action-packed I mean pretty gloomy show overall. The Indianapolis Colts are now out of the playoff picture, sitting at 8-5 following a 36-19 loss at Jacksonville this past weekend. Their quarterback is out for the season with a torn Achilles, and the future looks bleak for this team. So today we're going to dive into the Colts' rest of the season outlook. Do they even have a chance whatsoever of making the playoffs? We're also going to dive into Riley Leonard, and again, does he even have a chance of success the rest of the way? But before we do that, let's close the book on Daniel Jones and his tenure this season with the Colts. Now, we're not ruling out that he could be back next year, but we'll talk about it a little bit later in this segment, that it might be a little bit unlikely for that to happen. But Daniel Jones, coming into the season, I had very, very low expectations for him. I was very against the signing of Jones. I put him safely in that tier of like, okay, you're paying a pretty decent contract to get a Gardner Minshew type season, maybe get Jacoby Brissett type season from him. And he exceeded all of my expectations. Even in training camp, you could see that he could be a little bit better than a lot of what I expected him to be coming into the year. And then those first 7 to 8 games, he was on an absolute heater, played some outstanding football, moved the ball exceptionally well. He was engineering the #1 offense in the league. And yeah, part of that was the schedule they were going against, but also it's hard to put up those points and hard to put up those numbers in a competitive league like the NFL. So Daniel Jones was doing a lot of great things for this team. And even as it kind of unraveled a little bit the last couple of weeks, I thought we still saw some good things from him against the Atlanta Falcons, one of his rougher performances of the year. He really put the team on his back late in that game, delivered a couple of big-time plays, and helped the Colts get over the hump and get that victory. You look at the Houston game, I thought he had one of the better performances of the year from any quarterback against the Houston Texans defense. Now, it wasn't some world beater type of game, but most quarterbacks struggle against that Houston defense, as we saw with Pat Mahomes this last night here. And Daniel Jones was able to throw for over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, while dealing with that fracture in his fibula in his left foot, in his left leg. So I think he just had a very strong performances throughout the year. I thought even during the struggles lately, he was still churning out some good performances and doing some good things for the team. And it's unfortunate that it ended on such a sour note with his Achilles being torn this past weekend against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Even though he threw the interception on the first play, he bounced back with a really strong second drive, and he looked like he was going to put together another strong showing for the Colts. It just unfortunately ended with that bad step he took in that rainy conditions in Jacksonville, and it really sucks for him going forward. So overall, Jones finished the season with 68% completion percentage, 3,101 yards passing, 19 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. He had a 100.2 passer rating, a pretty healthy QBR as well. So I think that, when we compare Daniel Jones to other quarterbacks in the Chris Ballard era, he is very, very safely the third best quarterback that the Colts have started. You can maybe argue him over Phillip Rivers. I think Rivers just edges him out a little bit because they got into the playoffs and Rivers was able to continue his play throughout the year. It's kind of unfair to Jones, but that is just what it is with that. But I think safely he is that third best quarterback. He completed a lot of his passes, moved the ball effectively. I mean, the Colts offense, even if they go on this downward spiral the rest of the year, is going to still be like a top 10 offense because of how strong they started the season. And a lot of that is because of how Jones performed and how he played in the early part of the year. So, I think he's firmly the third best quarterback the Colts have started in the Chris Ballard era. He did a lot of really good things. And he gutted out a lot of tough performances through injuries. We'll always have that picture of his face bleeding late against Atlanta when they pulled off that victory. But yeah, going to the injury now, it's the most unfortunate injury that we can possibly have for him. Like if this was even something as dire as an ACL tear or a tear in his throwing shoulder, for instance, we could still talk ourselves into him being good for the start of next season. You get him back here on a 1 or 2 year contract with a lot of incentives, and you go from there. But because it's an Achilles tear in his plant foot, it's just the toughest injury you can possibly deal with as a pro athlete at this point. There's a lot of studies out there right now in terms of, especially when it comes to the running back position, the edge rusher position, the wide receiver position, and cornerback position as well, where production just is not the same from these players for a good 2+ years coming off these Achilles injuries. And even here in Indy, we have those personal examples to look at. Look at what happened with Dallas Flowers following his Achilles injury a couple years ago. He went from this young undrafted free agent corner that was explosive and a good return guy to being out of the league essentially right now. You look at Samson Ebukam this season, and he went from the Colts' best pass rusher a couple seasons ago to being just an afterthought on Sundays. Marlon Mack, 1,000-yard rusher for the Colts, tore his Achilles, and he was out of the league coming back from that Achilles a couple years later. So it is a devastating injury for players. The quarterback position is very cerebral, so maybe he can find a way around this. But with it being in his plant foot and so much of that plant foot being the power that derives in quarterback mechanics, it's just a bleak outlook for him. And even if this injury is something that he can recover from technically and get back on the field somewhere between 8 to 12 months or 8 to 9 months, or maybe on the optimistic end, he can get back out there in like 7 to 8 months and be ready for the start of next season. Who knows what he's going to look like? We've seen quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers the last couple years with their torn Achilles and their plant foot just not look the same throwing the football, and it taking some time for them to get back. Look how zapped Aaron Rodgers. I know Rodgers is an older quarterback, and Cousins is as well. But look how completely zapped those guys look at throwing the football these last couple years. They just don't even have nearly the same arm talent that they had because they lost so much power in their plant legs. So unlike those two guys, Jones is still relatively young for the position. He can still get back on track somewhere down the line. But for Jones, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be possible for next season to be as productive as it was this year with him because there's going to be so much that he has to overcome. He is a warrior. He's a tough player. There was all the documented stuff of him dealing with a broken collarbone in college and obviously dealing with a the fractured fibula this year. So I'm not doubting his toughness in any way, but the human body has limits, and the Achilles is one of the biggest limits that is out there for pro athletes right now. And for him to deal with this kind of injury this late in the season, yeah, he's out for the rest of this year, but I think a lot of next year is going to be in doubt for him too. And we look at this Colts team, there's not really another option at quarterback outside of Anthony Richardson for next season, which I know when I post this, a lot of the comments are not going to be happy about, but it's Richardson, the Achilles recovering Daniel Jones, or you're at the bottom of the barrel here with the Aaron Rodgers or the Russell Wilsons of the world and maybe seeing if those guys can do it. So the outlook for Daniel Jones is pretty bleak for next season, but for the Colts, I mean, for a team that doesn't have their first round pick next year, that were putting all their eggs in the Daniel Jones basket, I don't even know if you can bring him back right now because of that injury, because if you don't think he can get back to what he was until 2027, who knows what this team is looking like in 2027? Who knows who the head coach is then? Who knows who the GM is? It's hard to really bank on waiting for his recovery when pretty much everyone here could be gone by then. If they miss the playoffs this year and miss the playoffs next year without their first round picks, you gave up some valuable assets here, and you don't even have a quarterback to show for it. So it's just a really unfortunate situation, but I didn't want to be all doom and gloom in this first segment. I really wanted to finish off this first segment by saying Daniel Jones exceeded my expectations in every way this year. He fought on Sundays. He played some really good football, and he was a big part of what made this first half of the season exceptionally fun for the Colts. Yes, there were some highs and lows. He wasn't a perfect quarterback, but I think this was safely the third best quarterback we've seen in the Chris Ballard era. He deserves a lot of credit for how he came in here, won over the locker room, and played some really good football. And I don't want to just get on past that. I want to acknowledge that at least one more time before the end of the season, that Daniel Jones deserves his flowers. I feel for the guy. He lost so much money on Sunday trying to gut through that injury and then now dealing with this massive Achilles injury. He will bounce back, I'm sure, but it's just a really unfortunate situation for him, and I wish him the best going forward. But he deserves a lot of credit for how he played this year. Daniel Jones did a lot of good things, and he's one of the biggest reasons why the Colts are even sitting at 8 wins this season. But coming up, guys, we have another quarterback to talk about, and that is Riley Leonard, the new man for the team the next 4 weeks, the next month of the season. Riley Leonard, the sixth-round rookie quarterback, will have a chance to earn his worth in the NFL. But first, the holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every single time. It's not just something that you wrap. It's a way to share those memories, because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it, so when they plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure it out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. I mean, personally, guys, Aura Frames has been the go-to gift for me to all relatives, older, younger, whatever it is. Everyone could use something like Aura Frames. My wife has gotten it for both of her parents. I've gotten it for my parents. I've gotten it for my grandparents. Got it for my aunt. Like, everyone gets an Aura Frame. I'm like Oprah Winfrey giving out a free car when it comes to Aura Frames, because they are just that great a gift to give to anyone in your family that you want to keep connected with. Photos of yourself, photos of your kid, photos of your dog. It's a fantastic gift to give in the holidays. And for a limited time, save on this perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter by using promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's auraframes.com. Promo code Locked On. This deal is exclusive to listeners and Frame Sell It Fast, so order yours and get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Locked On Colts everydayers, we are back. I am Zach Hicks, your favorite co-host here at the Locked On Colts podcast. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Colts your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. We have more quarterback talk here on the Monday morning episode, and by morning, I obviously mean like the funeral morning rather than the morning of the day here, as we're talking about the Colts' bleak outlook the rest of the season. And now we're going to transition to talking about Riley Leonard. Now, Riley Leonard, for a 6th-round rookie quarterback in the rain, on the road, having to deal with everything he dealt with, I thought it was a perfectly fine performance from him. He finished the day with 145 yards passing and had a rushing touchdown. Technically, he threw an interception, but I think I speak for all Colts fans and like 99.9% of football fans that I'm not counting that interception ever going forward. I don't care what the NFL says. I don't care what it goes down in the stat sheet. That was not an interception, and it never will be an interception. So they can just come at me with that one there. But yeah, Riley Leonard, 145 yards in this game and a rushing touchdown, got his first touchdown of his career. Threw 2 other pretty close touchdowns as well, which we're not going to complain too much about. But yeah, Leonard, I thought, played fairly well given the situation and given the circumstances. I think, talking about the positives, he's a pretty good quarterback when it comes to just getting that back foot down, planting and delivering when his mechanics are set, when he can get his feet set. And he can just deliver over the middle of the field. I think you see some really good things from him. Converted a handful of 3rd downs. I think it was on his 2nd drive of the game that got the Colts a field goal. I thought he looked really good on that drive in particular. We saw some mobility with him, getting outside the pocket, delivering a couple throws to like Alec Pierce outside the pocket, and moving the football pretty effectively. Yeah, I think overall it was a fine performance for what he is. But at the end of the day, he kind of is what he is, in terms of he's a 6th-round rookie quarterback. There's a reason why he fell to the 6th round. And for every example that we want to say, like, oh, he could be the next Tom Brady, he could be the next Brock Purdy, there's also 300 players that he could be the next of. He could be the next Sam Ehlinger, which is a fine career, like 3rd-string quarterback, but not a guy you want to throw out there on Sundays. When it comes to his overall limitations that we saw out there, this past weekend, I think his arm is firmly in like that average category at best. Like, it's a fairly average arm. There were a couple balls that fluttered on him, especially throwing outside the numbers or throwing down the field. His near touchdown to Pierce and his almost touchdown to Michael Pittman Jr. were nice little balls down the sideline. But aside from that, I thought a lot of his balls did flutter away from that like intermediate middle of the field range that he liked to throw. There were some questionable decision making in terms of RPOs and read option plays that most notably the 4th-and-1 stuff attempt to Jonathan Taylor was a read option that he should have pulled the ball on. There was nobody coming to him. If he pulls that, he gets a good 10-plus yard gain. Unfortunately, gave the ball at the middle of Jonathan Taylor, which the entire defense collapsed on, and ended up being a stuff on that play. So, yeah, there are some negatives in this game. The safety he took, I thought, was just something that you can't take as a quarterback in the NFL if you want to have some success. But again, he shouldn't have been in that situation. It's a freaky situation where, the starting quarterback tears his Achilles, the backup quarterback gets hurt with a practice band, and now as a 6th-rounder who's expecting to be the clipboard holder all season to learn and develop and maybe be a career backup, he now has to fight for the Colts' playoff lives here in the last month of the year. So what can the Colts do with Riley Leonard to find success in this final month? I think a lot of it is you just got to, it's going to be a limited offense, because again, Leonard is not this NFL ready quarterback right now. He needs time to maybe develop into a backup caliber guy. So that you're not going to be able to throw the full playbook at him. He's not going to be able to make these full field reads, go through his progressions with ease and have the comfortability back there. And especially when teams are able to get in like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, they're going to bring the house on him. And that's going to be tough for any young quarterback, let alone a 6th-round rookie. So it's going to be tough. You can't throw the full playbook at him. I think a big part of it is you're going to have to just limit the playbook, find the plays that he likes the best, and really lean into his strengths, which is those read options and RPOs and quick hitters over the middle, some high-low concepts over the middle of the field where he can just hit his back foot and deliver based off reading 1 or 2 defenders. I think those can be the best type of situations for him. And just lean into his ability as a runner as well. Look, I know they're one injury away now from Brett Rippon being out there, but we're already on the 3rd quarterback. We can't just be super cautious with him. I'm not saying be reckless with him, but if one of his strengths is running the football, we can lean into him running the football a little bit because that's what he was good at Notre Dame. It's a big reason why Notre Dame got to the college football playoffs last year and got to the final game because of his legs. And I think the Colts need to lean into that a little bit. So, can they generate points with him at quarterback? Sure, absolutely, especially if the other guys around him step up. But it's going to be in a very limited capacity. It's not going to be the same way they were winning with Daniel Jones, the same way they would have won with Anthony Richardson, because he's just not that level of quarterback right now. He's very green, he's very young, and it's a tough situation for him. But as long as he has a good week of practice, he can find the plays that he's looking for, and things can just go right around him and then get some lucky bounces. Sure, they can put up points on Sundays, but how consistent can it be? Can he give them those plus plays? Can he give them those difference-making plays that separate the good from the great teams? That's going to be remain to be seen, I guess, on Sundays, because it's just tough, man. It's so tough to play quarterback in the NFL. Look how it's gone for Anthony Richardson, for instance, when he's got out there. Look how long it took Daniel Jones to find the rhythm that he found this year with the Colts. It's difficult to play this position in the league, especially when you're coming into the situation that Riley Leonard is, where, look, we saw on Sunday a lot of the Colts team just kind of gave up when Jones went down, and they went into this massive lull. And even when Leonard was out there making some plays, the guys around him were letting him down and letting down this team. It's going to be hard to inspire the guys. It's going to be hard to get out there and make those plays. Now it's on those other professionals to step up and make those plays for him. But yeah, it's a situation you never want to put a rookie quarterback into. The Colts are very much in the Tom Manning aspect of the world right now, where they're kind of screwed and we don't practice screwed. Well, we're going to be practicing screwed the last month of the season here. But overall, I think they can find some success with Riley Leonard. You want to run the ball a little bit more with the offense in general. You want to use Riley Leonard's legs, get the quick screen game going, and get a lot of the play action RPO game going, and try not to make him make these like full field reads or have to read multiple defenders. Make it be more of these 1-2 reads. And now, how sustainable is that in the NFL? I don't know. It's going to be tough, but that's probably the way they have to operate here. Operate the way that, the Green Bay Packers have operated the last couple of years when Malik Willis has been in there. I think that's probably your best plan of attack to maybe steal some points and steal some wins down the stretch here. But coming up, guys, we're going to wrap up this entire show by talking about the Colts' playoff chances this season. I don't know if we're going to talk about this much more the rest of the year because I think we all know the answer here, but can the Colts get into the playoffs without Daniel Jones and with Riley Leonard starting at quarterback? We're going to answer that big question here in the final segment to close out today's show. But first, the World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging those seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app, the layout makes it so simple to scroll through the matchups and compare those seat views. You can pick a game, tap a section, and have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion and no hunting for that fine print. The seat view feature is a game changer. You literally see what the pitch looks like from your exact seat before you buy, and take the guesswork out of buying those World Cup tickets in every match, every concert or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go with Game Time. And NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or their momentum flips after a turnover, or a major injury happens as well. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. And you can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked in to every snap, every drive, and every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Alrighty, Locked On Colts everydayers, we are back to close out this show. We started off the show by talking all about Daniel Jones's play to start the year and kind of giving a big thank you to the way that he played this season. He fought through a lot, played some really good football. We took a look at Riley Leonard and how the Colts probably have to slim down the playbook a little bit and just raise their execution to a very high level if they want to have any success the rest of the year. But let's close it out by looking at just the Colts' chances down the stretch here. The Colts are sitting at 8-5. They're currently the number 8 seed in the AFC, so they're one spot out of the playoff race. They did lose a couple tiebreakers recently with losses to the Texans and the Jaguars. We'll see if those come into play late in the season here. We'll certainly see, but yeah, the Colts technically have like a 51% chance of making the playoffs by most models, roughly a 15% chance of winning the division. But I think a lot of that doesn't account for what's happening with the injury front with this Colts team. Daniel Jones is out for the year. Sauce Gardner out for a couple more weeks. We'll see if DeForest Buckner can come back at any time. Anthony Richardson likely out for the year as well. We haven't got anything official there, but we also haven't got anything promising with him coming back. So, yeah, the Colts are down to their third string quarterback. Multiple injuries across the line. Probably no Braden Smith this week with his concussion. We'll see on Alec Pierce this week as well. And, oh, yeah, they have the toughest schedule of all of the AFC contending teams down the stretch. They go at Seattle this week. They play San Fran in a Monday night or a Sunday night game, I believe, at Sunday or Monday night game. It's a primetime football game against the San Francisco 49ers. They play a home game against Jacksonville, and then they go to Houston to close out the season. So that's 4 playoff teams right there, 2 of which teams have already beat them on the year. And they're doing so, again, with their third string quarterback, without 2 of their 3 best defensive players, and with the team overall in this kind of big skid right now. So what are the chances that the Colts can steal 2 wins here, get to 10 wins, and get in the playoffs? Nothing's impossible in the NFL, but on the scale of impossible to possible, this is closer to impossible when it comes to this team. And I think it's safer to project the Colts not making the playoffs with all this. I know I'm going on a limb by saying this, but even if Daniel Jones were healthy right now, following a loss to Jacksonville, it would be tough to see this team squeaking into the playoffs with the remaining schedule, with the way the team has played lately. I mean, the defense took a major step back this past Sunday, and they look lifeless for most of that game. The offense has been in this big-time rut where Jonathan Taylor's kind of regressed. Tyler Warren's hit a rookie wall. Some of the pass catchers, sans Alec Pierce, have really taken a step back. And overall, this team looks just very lethargic and lifeless right now. I mean, they had 2 must-win games these past 2 weeks, and even if we want to put the Jacksonville game aside, the Houston game, they look lethargic for half of that game, which just can't happen in a home game against the division. So what are the odds that even with Daniel Jones that they would get 2 wins in these last 4 to get in the playoffs? I'm not sure. But now we're going to Riley Leonard, who, look, I hope the best for this young quarterback. I hope he can come out here and be the next Tom Brady. But without him being the next Tom Brady, I don't know if that's going to be good enough for the Colts to get into the playoffs this year. Yeah, they would need a monumental collapse from 2 of these 4 teams that they're playing against. Plus, they need to capitalize on all those mistakes that those teams make and still get points on the board and hold out in the end. So I'm not really going to be banking too much here. I will say this, we have seen teams win with backups and third string quarterbacks before in the NFL. Look at Houston right now, right? Houston is on a 5-game winning streak, and most of those wins came with their backup quarterback in there, and they beat 2 playoff teams with their backup quarterback in the Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So you can win with your backup quarterback, but how did Houston win with that quarterback in there? The rest of the team stepped up. Their playmakers and offense stepped up. The offensive line was playing some great football. They ran the ball effectively for the first time all year. And their defense took the onus on themselves and said, we need to completely shut down opponents, which, given they're the best defense in football, they've been doing that all year. But your entire roster needs to step up when your quarterback is not out there. There's a reason why the most valuable player award only goes to quarterbacks, because it is the most valuable position in the league. Now, can you win without a quarterback? Sure, you can win any game on Sunday without anything because it's a crazy, closely, competitive sport. But you need everything to break your way, and you need guys to step up around the quarterback to make sense. So, look, the Colts have multiple All-Pro and Pro Bowl caliber guys on this team that have been here for a long time. I mean, not counting the injured guys right now, they have Jonathan Taylor, they have Quentin Nelson, Michael Pittman Jr. I mean, Alec Pierce is playing great this year. Tyler Warren, the top pick rookie tight end. Leatu Latu, a top 15 pick defensive end. Mooney Ward on the back end. Mooney Ward, Cameron Bynum, Zaire Franklin, a former All-Pro. Like, these guys need to step up if you want to have any chance at making the playoffs, because whether it's Riley Leonard, Daniel Jones, Andrew Luck, or Zach Hicks playing quarterback for you, you can still control what you control. If it's not good enough, it's not good enough. But allowing 36 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars with your defense, that you're never going to win with whoever's at quarterback, But if you go out there and actually compete and play the football that you think you can play and hold teams down, you can make it a game where your quarterback can, regardless who your quarterback is, can give you a chance to win. But do we expect that from this Colts team? That's where I struggle right now, because why would I expect that out of anything with this Colts team? I mean, we had not only with the Chris Ballard era Colts, but since Peyton Manning was here, these Colts teams have come up short constantly late in seasons, regardless of who they have, regardless of what advantage they have late in the year. So do I think they can rally around Riley Leonard now and get these wins? Absolutely not. We've seen this leadership group since 2018, Zaire Franklin's been here since 2018. We've seen Kenny Moore been here since then. Quentin Nelson's been here since then. Jonathan Taylor's been here, since 2020. And what has it done for the Colts? Nothing. Even if they had the advantage, even if Daniel Jones was healthy, we have seen this team fade down the stretch far too often. So now I need to bank on them to just come around Riley Leonard and prop up this 6th-round rookie quarterback to get them into the playoffs. No, absolutely not. I'm not trying to be a doomer here, but I'm trying to be realistic with you guys. That even with their starting quarterback, it would be a struggle for me to believe in them following them losing 4 of their last 5 games. But now with it being Riley Leonard out there, I don't see it happening whatsoever. They just don't have that leadership group. They don't have the the physicality. I don't know, the guts, the winning mentality that you need. They just have never brought that in my time covering this team. So maybe this can be the first time that we see it from them. But I highly, highly doubt it. I think everyone needs to be perfect around Leonard for the Colts to have a chance down the stretch. And I have no reason to believe that they actually will be perfect because they've never given me a reason to believe that in December since I've covered this team. I've covered this team since 2018. I've never seen it happen. So take that for what it will. I don't think the Colts have a shot at the playoffs the rest of the way. And I think this is going to be one of the biggest collapses, not only in franchise history, but in NFL history. Part of that is obviously the quarterback injury. But it wasn't trending well regardless before that. So take that for what you will. The Colts are staring down the barrel at an 8-9 finish to this season after starting 7-1. And we'll talk about probably later this week what that means for the future of this team, especially when they don't have a first-round pick after this year or next year because the Sauce Gardner trade. I mean, gosh, when I say you're one-stop shop for commiseration with the Colts, I truly mean it. But that's all I have for today, guys. Thank you for making Locked On Colts your first listen today and every day. The NFL season's in full swing. So for your next listen, get a double dose of the Locked On NFL podcast. Tyler the Madman Rowland gives you a shot of espresso to start your football day, while Tony Wiggins takes you into the barbershop for the smoothest breakdowns to end the day. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. You guys want to become a Locked On Colts insider and chat with us directly and get that insider scoop. Follow the link in our show notes. And if you don't already, make sure you're following at Locked On Colts, at Jake Arthur NFL, and at Zach Hicks 2, all on socials. Also, subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. We love your guys' ratings, views, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow afternoon.